Hello, teacher. I'm Ana Melena Pizarro, and I'm going to give you the speech of a book that I read. The name is The Story of a Shipwrecked Sailor by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so the newspaper journalist Gabriel Garcia Marquez wrote a series of stories about a shipwrecked sailor who nearly died with 8 of his colleagues, drowned shortly before arriving at the airport of Cartagena de Indias due to the overweight contraband overboard. Yeah. So this is like the introduction that the book has. Who drift on a life raft for 10 days without food or water, was proclaimed a national hero, kissed by beauty queens, made rich through publicity, and then spurned by the government and forgotten for all time. Well, the story is written in first person from the 20-year-old sailor's perspective, Luis Alejandro Velasco, and was in fact signed by Velasco as the author when the book was published in 1955. Well, but I think it wasn't published at that time. I think it was written, yeah, because the published date is, I think, is a different one. Okay. Let me see. So, Seaman Luis Alejandro Velasco and the destroyer Caldas, right, that's the name of the boat, were going to return to Colombia after a long stay in the United States. When the ship set sail, it was loaded with appliances that the sailors bought, yeah, for their families and among other things. So when the vessel, the big boat, the one that they were using, the one that they had, is caught in heavy waves in the Caribbean Sea, 8 of the crew members were washed overboard. Yeah. And well, after 4 days, the searching ended, and the missing ones were declared dead. Okay. So when the vessel, however, Velasco founded a raft, and he remained on the open sea without food and without hope, right? But at this point, he had been dead, yeah, for over 10 days, and eventually he arrived with his raft on a coast that he later discovered was Colombia. Okay. So, let me see. He was received first with affection and military honors, yeah, because he was a Colombian sailor, yeah, from the country, and he received a lot of money from publicity agencies. So, because he had 3 different objects that survived as well with him. So the watch company, belt company, and shoes company. So this story was a controversy as media gave fake information about the causes of the shipwreck, blaming a non-existent storm, and they glorify the surviving sailor. So when Gabriel Garcia Marquez published the story 15 years later, so it means in 1970, in the book named El relato de un náufrago, he generously ceded the author's right to Velasco, right, the sailorman. But in 1983, Velasco sued him for translation rights to the book. Yeah, as you can see on the presentation, it has so many translations, and of course, Velasco lost this suit. One of the parts of the controversy things that happened in this lawsuit, was that Gabriel Garcia Marquez's reasons for not giving the translation rights to the author was that he said, quotation mark, the story is from the writer and not from the one who lives it. So I think that with this part, the person, well, the writers believe that they give like the emotions, they give the good things of a story, because you can tell a story, but it's totally different when you write it. So it's like to giving that magic to a book, something like that. So in the last week of his life, Velasco apologized to Gabriel Garcia Marquez for the lawsuit, and he died in Bogota on August 2nd, 2020, aged 66. So in 1986, the book was translated into English. So the last part of my presentation, it is a short clip talking about the lawsuit. So I'm going to only show you the information, but I'm going to read it to you in English. So let me find it. Okay. So it says, okay, no, sorry teacher. Wait a moment. It's right here. Okay. Well, in any time, this one. Okay. This is the first time that Gabriel Garcia Marquez receives a letter from a character from his books. He wants to give him the information of the author's rights, yeah, and he wants to tell him to have so much hope on that, because it's not going to happen. Okay. So Luis Alejandro Velasco replies. We can say that asking or begging to give him, I don't know, something, money, it will be money. So, well, to refresh his memory and tell him that the book was from his story, and it gives a lot of money to Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and he deserves, then Luis Alejandro Velasco, El Náufrago, deserves a reward for telling his story, and of course helping Gabriel Garcia Marquez earn some money. And so that was the controversy that it had. And sure, okay, it was only 5 minutes, but the story was very interesting for me. I hope that you enjoy it. Had enjoyed it. I hope you can read the book. It is really short. It's a short story. It is Relato de un Náufrago. That's the name of the book. And if you have the time, I hope you can read it and enjoy it as I did. So, teacher, thank you so much for your time, the opportunity that you gave me to send the speech at this time, and see you later. Bye-bye.